we have a lot to discuss, but let me make a few exciting announcements. Number one, we are live in so many places, but the newest place that is today is the start is Worldview Tube. I'm going to say I have missed some of you guys here, even though I am regularly on Brennan's show. I want to say once, if not twice a week, but it's good to be back with you for the whole hour, discussing issues over time related mainly to Islamization and Islam and Sharia. So it is so good to be back on Worldview Tube. We are also live on X America News, as always. My channels, that would be YouTube, Rumble, X, locals everywhere. I did forget to push the feed to Substack today, so forgive me, but starting tomorrow, we will be live on my Substack as well. And again, welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. I appreciate all your patience for waiting all week last week for the relaunch of the show due to me not being able to do the show last week. Okay, where do we begin? Let's begin here. Another sanctuary city and state on fire. I know a lot of people out there since the election were saying, watch as Summer of Love is going to start and it's going to start again. But I honestly never thought that the next Summer of Love, the next time that anti-Americans are going to be on the streets, burning buildings down, burning cars down, and being full-on barbaric terrorists, would be over ICE doing its job. Like, are you kidding me right now? I mean, I get it. I had this discussion with someone yesterday, and yes, last time was over police doing its job. But how can anyone be upset that the current administration, or more specifically ICE, under current administration orders, is trying to clean house and make us safer? Like, how does that work? I have no idea. I don't tend to understand a lot of these people. But that being said, let's dissect what's happening. And I'm sure a lot of other reporters and journalists and programmers have talked about this, but I want to talk about it on my own way. If you look at some of the videos and pictures that are coming up, and if we could put those 5 pictures in, no matter what order you put them up, it's going to still make sense to the topic. There is protest, and then there is terrorism, and then there is revolution, and then there is coup d'etat, right? And invasion. Any of these videos or pictures you look at, you can't seriously sit there with a straight face, even if you hate this country, even if you hate everything about Americans, you can't sit there and say they are protesting. Nothing about what's happening is a protest. It's not. Because yes, legally, under the Constitution, we have the right to petition our government if we want to, but it has to be peaceful. Kind of sort of like January 6th. Remember, it was all peaceful. But somehow, January 6th was an insurrection. But what's happening in LA, it's just a bunch of fed up people protesting the government, specifically ICE, for deporting criminals and those who are. And by the way, when I say criminal, I'm not specifically saying the gang members who are illegally in the country. If you're in this country illegally, you are a criminal. That's the definition of a criminal. You have committed a crime. You have come to this country illegally, or you have come in with a visa, and when your visa expired, you didn't go back. Now, right there, you broke the law. You committed a crime. By definition, you're a criminal. So I want to be very specific. When I say they're clearing out the state or city or the whole country of criminals, I mean even those who just decided to break the law, commit a crime, and stay here illegally. Those are still criminals in my eye. They are burning everything in front of them. Honestly, I don't know when they're going to start burning people. Like, are they going to start burning ICE agents or police officers or anybody else they can get their hands on? I don't know. It might get there. And I know I sound sarcastic, but I'm not being sarcastic. I'm dead serious. By the way, we are live. I forgot to say that part. We are live. I will check the comments on the last segment of this show. We're gonna address the comments only, so bear with me. Put your questions in, put your comments, whatever you want to put in, and I'll get to them. But I'm trying not to turn too much. One, my neck is still a little stiff. I can't really turn. Two, I want to make sure I get to what I need to get to. Now, can we start with those pictures? There are, I think, 5 pictures. If we could put them up on the screen, Reagan, I could kind of go over them. So here we go. Newsom decided to turn this around and make it about Trump. I don't know if you saw the tweet. He put out the tweet saying California, I read the headline, saying that Trump is taking advantage of what's happening in California to create chaos. You see, this is where leadership matters, guys. I'm not a fan of Newsom, you all know, and recently I'm not the #1 fan of Trump either. But when you look at this, and I'm not saying if Trump is doing the right thing or not, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is the difference of leadership. This is the difference of leadership. Instead of trying to fix what's broken in that state, instead of accepting the help, he's trying to, muddy up the water and say Trump is the bad guy. And again, it takes a very special kind of stupid to think Newsom is doing the right thing. So anybody in California, what are you guys doing? What are you doing? Why are you still backing Newsom? Why do you think Newsom is still a good choice for that state? When the recall was going on, why did you not get behind it? I don't get you people. I get it. Your hatred for conservatives, your hatred for Republicans, your hatred for American values is probably what's causing it, but get over it. And then we have one of my very favorite Congress members that I call Crooked, but I know that's not how you're supposed to pronounce her name, but I really think Crooked matches her much better. She comes out and says, first, they illegally deport citizens. Citizens? I want to know, when did we illegally deport citizens? There was one case of mistake, which was reversed. Then they unleash ICE to terrorize communities. Who's terrorizing whom, Crooked? ICE didn't show up with AR and bombs. They didn't. They showed up with legal documentation, orders to do their job. It's the people in LA specifically, or those who are making their way to LA from other areas, those are the ones terrorizing the community. Goes on to say now they've got the National Guard in LA to silence protesters. This ain't about law and order. This is what authoritarianism looks like. It's actually exactly about law and order, Crooked. It is. Here's how law and order works. And I don't even know how you people make it to our government, by the way. That's a topic for another minute of this show we'll get to. But let me elaborate what law and order is. Law and order. We have laws, and then we have officers of different departments that implement the law, and we get order from it. So when ICE shows up to do their job under proper law, they are following law and order. They are following law, placing order. So again, are you just that dumb? Or are you another one of those anti-America who's loving what's happening in LA and will go out of her way to fire it up even more? Right? Let's rattle the boat even more. Let's encourage more people to show up and terrorize the community because ICE is doing its job. It's just disgusting. It's disgusting. Now, Cricket talks about citizens illegally being deported. Again, where is the case? Please show me, because maybe I missed it. And if I missed it, I will come back on air and apologize for missing it and correcting your mistake. I will come on air and correct my own mistake. But you think this is about illegally deporting citizens. But then you look at some of the pictures, the remaining pictures of the protest, if we can put some of those up. I have not seen any protesters, let's do this, even though it hurts my arm, protesters flying American flags, waving constitutions. I haven't. You know what I've seen plenty? Smoke, fire, mask-wearing terrorists with Mexican flags flying. What happened to your oath? Not just Jasmine. Any of the other ones who are backing this up. What happened to your oath? You're to serve American people. That's why I said this is a coup d'etat. This is the topple of a government. They're waving the, how much you want to bet if me, okay, if the look could kind of blend in, right? If I go to Mexico right now, illegally, not even using my American passport, I would just like sneak my way in. Why? Because I could, right? I would show up there, gather a bunch of other brownish skin American citizens, and start flying American flags, burning cars down in Mexico. What do you think would happen to me immediately? Forget about Mexico. You name the country. Algeria. Is that good? Let's go to Algeria and fly American flag trying to burn their city down. What do you think would happen to me? Cut it. I'm not necessarily going to ask for loyalty because you've proven not to have any. I'm not going to even ask for common sense because you don't have any. Clearly, from the reaction of, again, it's not just Newsom, it's not just Jasmine Crooked. There's so many other people. Those who are keeping quiet, you're part of the problem, by the way. Any member of the government, from local, state, federal, if you're keeping quiet about what is happening in Los Angeles, you are a huge part of this problem. But what I will ask is, at least look in the mirror, then double check your tweets as you're putting them out, and think about the following. How dumb am I going to look when I put this out? How am I going to backtrack this when it comes to next election? How am I going to justify my hatred for this country by defending those who are literally officially burning it down? Because I don't think at this point even Californians are going to forget this. As I said, last time around, you had the BLM going on. You had a cause that made it very hard for a lot of Americans to understand what's behind this slogan of Black Lives Matter. This time, you got Mexican flags flying as the Los Angeles city burns down, part of America. You have federal buildings being attacked and federal agents being attacked, and nobody's calling it what it should be called. And let me flash back again to what everybody else has by the time I get on air. January 6th. That was an insurrection, right? But what they're doing in LA is just protest. And by the way, what are they protesting exactly? Law and order. Gotcha. So let's continue being lawless. And let me direct my last minute, 20-second here to the audience. And I know between Worldview YouTube, X America News, and Live Up to Freedom, I know you're mostly well educated on these topics. So this is where I'm going to do a plug of share this. So those who are not educated, those who are not getting the truth, those who cannot put two and two together on their own, and they need somebody like me to connect the dots for them, share this with them so they can sit there and think for a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah, they are flying a foreign flag in our country while burning it down, and our officials are backing him up. They're backing him up. They're giving him a free pass, and they're fighting for him. So, because we're coming up here soon, we turn our head. Midterm's coming up, right? Let's keep that all in mind as we do this. I don't know where this is going to go. I have my guesses, and my guesses are very irrelevant to the topic of LA. But wherever this goes, this is one of those events that we shall not forget how the responsible parties reacted to the situation. Okay. We need to go to our first ad break. Don't go anywhere. We're going to hear from our sponsors here at Worldview YouTube. When we come back, we're going to shift gears, but it's still about our government failing us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Would you like to gain access to over 20 years of my radio shows, TV shows, my books? I've written 15 books, and most of those books are ebooks now. And we have conference DVDs, conferences where we filmed our conferences at the Ozarks, literally starting 20 years ago. It's all available in our archived vault. All you have to do is go to worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and for a reasonable monthly fee, you gain access to over 20 years of Christian worldview programming, news, information, books, documentaries, and a powerful search engine. And folks, it's a great way not only to educate yourself, equip yourself, but it's a big way that you can help fund our continuation as a broadcast network. Please check it out. worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and help us continue pushing out a Christian worldview.
I completely agree with that statement. Do help Worldview Tube to continue bringing you Christian worldview. Why? Because where we're going with this segment's topic, it's important. Churches are failing, pastors are quiet. There is so much twist of narrative and at this point interfaith dialogue, and there are very few networks that you can tap into for free on free programming that would actually give you the world view of Christians or biblical worldview. So it would be a great idea to support Worldview Tube. On top of that, if you want to support me, that would be fantastic as well. I will not complain. But if not, I would say priority is Worldview Tube because, well, it's giving all of us an umbrella to be under and continue doing programming without censorship. You know what? I know I said I'm going to get to your comments at the end of the program, but I figured since I'm switching topics, I should just check your comments now before switching topics so I don't forget where the comments are coming from. I do see all of you. Hi to everybody in the comment section. Thank you so much for joining me. And I will agree right off the bat. Lauren said Newsome is a 99-cent special. I love that. Can I steal that? Because that's probably what I should use. And Nora, it is lovely to see you as well. Yes, I know on Worldview Tube, if you are watching this program on Worldview Tube, you won't be able to make comments. That's all right. Leave the player on for the purpose of traffic, but you can head over to my YouTube, Rumble, or Facebook, or Worldview Tube Rumble and make comments there, and I'll be able to see them. Do you think if we took over Mexico, the illegals would go somewhere else? Josh is asking. Do you think if we took over Mexico, illegals would go somewhere else? No, I don't. First of all, I don't think it's even a good idea to entertain to take over Mexico, but even if it did, no. I don't think this is about Mexico or Algeria. I don't know why Algeria is in my head today. The purpose of as I said, it's a coup d'etat. This has been ongoing, open borders, this didn't happen yesterday. So it doesn't matter what we conquer or what we take on or what we buy or how much we expand. Illegals have a mission here and they're gonna stay with their mission. Josh says, in some cases, waving foreign flags around like they do is almost a declaration of war. It is, because that's the thing. Look, if you are at my front door, you'll see that my flagpole has two flags. There's an American flag, there's an original Persian flag, not the Allah thing. So I do wave both flags, but it's flagpole, first of all, in front of my house. Secondly, the first thing you notice is my American flag is on top, my Iranian flag is secondary. So it's not about waving the flag, it's the formation, it's the body language, it's the atmosphere. Like in middle of burning things down, you're waving your flag. And again, in those videos and your pictures, you see the movement. It's literally almost reminds me of Braveheart movie, So yes, I agree, Josh. The way they're doing it is definitely declaration of war. But again, that is the goal. So they will by day, mainstream media, a lot of alternative media, a lot of politicians are going to twist this into a bunch of poor Mexicans. We're deporting them again. They're not poor. If they wanted to, again, immigration right here. You're looking at immigration, proper ways. So I have no sympathy for them. Okay. Let's move on. I will glance at the comments again, guys, in a bit, but let me move on to the next thing I want to talk about. Tonight at 7 p.m., which is 2 hours and some from now, my new Substack will drop. And for those of you who are not subscribers to my Substack, and by subscriber I mean free subscribers, you can subscribe to the free Substacks, or You can become a paid Substack subscriber, which I will appreciate. But every night, Monday through Friday, there's a Substack that I drop at 7 p.m. And then on the weekends, there's a paid one that you can have access to if you're a paid subscriber. However, tonight at Live Up to Freedom, you just go to liveuptofreedom.substack.com. I'm dropping a new Substack. I never thought it would be that hard for me to write this one after writing things like, exposing care or Constitution versus Sharia, or how the European girls are being groomed and silenced by Islam and Sharia. But this one actually turned out being pretty hard to do. Of course, I'm not going to go over all of it. One, we don't have enough time. Two, well, what's the point if I tell you all of it? You have no reason to go to Substack and read it. It is a pretty long one. But I will tell you the topic. I think the title is The Kill Counts Are In. So what I did was I did a study and a research and confirmation like I do on all other Substacks. And I figured let's look at January 1st until yesterday, because that's when I finished it. Technically 2 days before yesterday is when I finished the research. Let's take a look at the kill count, or in general, jihad count in America. Let me tell you a few reasons why I did it. Number one, the reason I did it, I realized we have a website that gives you the number of attacks and number of killed and all that, but there's no specific place to figure out what's happening with jihad in America. We hear about it, it fades away. Next one happens, we don't necessarily know what happens. So I went over that, and I concluded that there were 11 confirmed. Now, mind you, these aren't all, as you know, there are attacks that we don't even know about. So these are 11 confirmed jihad acts. 11. We just started the 6th month of the year. 11 confirmed jihad acts. 29 Americans dead. 29 Americans dead. More than 80 Americans seriously injured. Some still recovering, some still at hospital, some lost limbs. So, lives affected. That puts us about, 110 between those who lost their life and those who were seriously injured. And let's not even take into consideration the loved ones, right? Their mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, wife, children, all of those were affected too. The impact it had on all of them. Now, 4 out of 11 were stopped before the jihadi could, figure of speech, blow themselves up. So the number of killed and injured are only coming from technically 6, and I'll tell you why. 1 out of 11 was not related jihad attack inside US, but the jihadi operated and coordinated everything from inside US. Let's dissect that for a minute, shall we? You have an American inside America. Not to give too much away from the Substack, not even in a blue state or a blue city or a sanctuary city, guys. No. Who coordinated, he put together the plan and then did the coordination, funding, planning, and training of a jihad attack from inside America to be taking place in Middle East to kill American soldiers. Oh yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Again, because it has, I could not get over it. I don't think I ever get over it or ever wrap my hair around. Our intelligence offices, FBI and CIA and DOJ and everybody else involved, in a split second, they can find a father and a grandfather who's outside of Planned Parenthood praying for those who are walking into Planned Parenthood. They can find him, locate him, arrest him, sentence him, put him in jail for it. But you're telling me we don't have what it takes to locate an American who has been flagged before. This man didn't just wake up one morning and say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to become a Muslim. I'm going to take an oath to protect ISIS and Al Qaeda and Hamas. And I'm going to use my various smarts to put together a plan and pay for the plan and get American soldiers killed in the Middle East. No, no, that's not what happened. It was overlooked. The flags were overlooked. They weren't allowed to surveil this guy. So he managed to get 13, I believe, American soldiers killed in the Middle East, right here from heart of America. And that's just the unique case that I said. Technically, those 13 are not include the 29 we said who died in America because they were outside of America. But if we add that 13 to the 29 we have, we end up with 43 American lives taken. And again, today is June 9th. So I can't even say 6 months into the year because it hasn't happened. And I don't know if I need to remind you, we started our new year with a massacre. The deadliest jihad attack in America since 2016. One Muslim, one ISIS soldier, one truck, many dead, many injured. That was our New Year's Eve, remember? Now I went from there to here, and don't worry, it's not too long of it. I try to keep them as short as I can, even though these information are too important. But I want you to read it tonight at 7 or tomorrow, whenever you have time. Why? We're at a point where, as you know, I never give a free pass to Islam or Sharia or Islamist or jihadist. I don't do that. However, at this point, the more I'm writing, especially pieces like the one that's being released tonight, and I'm working, I concluded that with a question that I promised to give you an answer on the next Substack. So I'm trying to see if I can do one tomorrow to answer, but we're at a point where our own government is betraying us by looking the other way. On the follow-up Substack that I'm working on, and I want to repeat, I'm going to do my best to finish this tomorrow, but it might be a day delayed. But on the one I'm doing, I'm just piling up number of these jihadists who were flagged but never followed up, who were under surveillance for 5 years and nothing happened. Listen, this isn't something, yes, the toolbox has always been there. For 10 straight years, I've been saying that Islam is a toolbox that any sick-minded person can tap into and become a jihadist. But the point is, our own government is failing to look into what is happening. And when they do see something, they choose to not do anything about it for years, risking our lives. They simply just don't want to do it. And it hasn't changed. I hate to break it to you. What I just told you was from January until today. 20 days after the first jihad attack, Trump took office. This is an anti-Trump rhetoric. Please stay with me. Point is, it doesn't matter who's in the White House. Now, it's only fair to say if we talked about Biden's DOJ, we got to talk about Trump's DOJ. If we talked about Biden's FBI, we got to talk about Trump's FBI. And you know I'm a fair person. That being said, the current administration ain't doing any better than the previous one. To have 11 jihad attack, plans, only 4 diffused, and that many American lives lost or impacted by these, I don't know. That shouldn't be acceptable under any administration. But hold that thought. We're going to resume this discussion as soon as we come back from our next sponsor break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
But with Brandon, it's always cutting edge stuff happening in the world, and it's not just from the political angle, because you can get that on other platforms, but it's always from the biblical angle. So you're dealing with a guy that loves Jesus, you're dealing with a guy that's very intelligent, you're dealing with a guy that is cutting edge conservatism, and you're dealing with a guy that wants to be biblical all at the same time. And so for that reason alone, I hope many, many people will not just lift up his ministry in prayer, but will also financially get behind it because from the angle I'm trying to describe, he really is the only game in town. And we desperately need it in these last days. Can I get an amen to that?
Okay, welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for staying with me until now. And I will remind you, wherever you're watching us, click that share button, wherever it is. Share it on your platforms, and don't worry about being deplatformed. You'll be fine. It's okay if you're deplatforms. We've been there, all of us. And I will say one of the main reasons I want you to share this is the first segment, yes, everybody's talking about it, but definitely the rest of the show, I guarantee you won't find it anywhere. You won't. These numbers, the stats, this information, including the Substack information, you won't find it anywhere. So it would be great if you would actually share it. I don't want to get too distracted, but I just saw something on Ex America News Rumble channel that I'm gonna try to understand if I'm understanding it correctly, from Dave Johnson. Your sentence is half, Dave, so I'm not going to jump to conclusion yet. But you're claiming that I am perpetrating a false narrative. So why don't we do this? You tell me what part of my narrative. Did I actually tell you this is all based on research and the receipt is on the Substack? Because narrative doesn't have receipts, but that's all right. For sake of argument, we'll say narrative. You point out what part of my narrative was false, and I'll show you the receipt. Or you can move on with your day and be in denial. Which, thank you, Dave. You just gave me a great hook here. Denial. That's what we're suffering from, guys. The reason we still have jihad attacks and we still have sleeper cells all across our country, and we have crazies who hate our country with passion, burning down LA at the moment. How far that's going to go and what's the next city that's going to pick up after them, I don't know. It's because we're in denial. We're in denial. We are. We prefer to twist the truth. Best case scenario. Worst case scenario, we rather jump on the boat of anti-America narrative. And whatever happens, it's our fault. We deserve everything, and we are all. I was talking this morning with our very good friends that I'm sure everybody knows him, Alex Newman, as I was preparing to do his show today. And the discussion was about if we say anything, we're at fault, we're bigoted, we're racist, and that all comes down to because we are privileged. And at this point, they have you noticed the narrative has changed? It's not white privilege anymore. It's if you love America, you're privileged. If you're Christian, you're privileged. If you're conservative, you're privileged. If you're independent like me, you're privileged. Anything that doesn't fit their narrative, that's privilege. But bottom line is, privileged or not, conservative or not, Christian or not, I don't care. If you're American and you're still somewhat sticking with that denial because it's more comfortable, I don't have the power, nor do I have the right to force you out of your denial. But here's what I could do. I could tell you that it doesn't matter how much you deny the existence of Islamization in America. It is here, it is growing, and one of these days it's going to knock at your door. And I will say what I said many times in the last 10 years, because listen, as you know, I'm a huge Second Amendment fan, right? I love our Second Amendment, and I don't just love it, I practice it literally. And I adore it, and I will fight for it if need to be. But a lot of times, for example, the New Year's Eve, right? By the time somebody with their weapon steps out of it or tried to do something, people were dead. This is not a fair battlefield where you're like, oh, I got my Second Amendment and I got my gun, and if they try to do something, I'm going to shoot them. You're dealing with a bunch of ruthless people who are rewarded for killing you. And even if they die, even better, right? If they kill you while killing you die, that's much better because they get all the rewards. And a bunch of brainwashed people, I won't use the term human because that's not, they don't deserve that term. They're brainwashed people to believe death in name of Allah and cause of Allah is better than living life. They value death more than they value life. Now, you can deny it, but as I said, just because you're denying it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I have this saying that I normally try to tell my friends of denying or ignoring a problem doesn't solve it. It doesn't. And Islam is a problem, guys. It's a crisis. We're literally facing Islamization crisis in U.S. And the fact that not enough people are even aware of it, it could sometimes be frustrating. I need to turn this way so I can definitely keep an eye on my clock because I'm trying to do the clock thing right. And I just messed it up. So hold on, guys. I need. How do I do this? I think I do it this way. No, bear with me. I am having problems. Oh, got it. Okay, we're back on. Good. Yes, Greg, they do value Houris or 72 versions more than life. They value anything of their afterlife more than life. And again, for anybody like Dave who thinks I'm having false narrative, I will plug my Substack again, Live Up to Freedom. Go to liveuptofreedom.substack.com. It is on the lower third. You can easily see it. Or just go to Substack, look for @LiveUpToFreedom. Not a single piece has, I think I have 56 pieces there by now. Not a single one of them misses the receipt. One thing I'm proud to say is I always show the receipt. I don't wing it. I don't have personal opinion about things. Do I have feelings towards stuff? Yes, but I honestly don't think you even find my feelings when you read my Substack. You don't. That's the thing. I show the receipt, and based on receipt, fact, samples of their own educational material, their own Quran, their own Hadith. There is no possible way for anyone to say Islam is not a danger and we're not facing Islamization crisis. And please remember what I just said. Islam is the danger. Don't go twisting my words. Don't. Do I have a Muslim friend? No, because I don't trust a Muslim person's judgment. Because if your judgment is to read the Quran and still follow Islam, we kind of can be friends. We cannot. So here, publicly, I'm saying I don't have Muslim friends because I don't trust their judgment. But the problem, not the Muslim people. It's Islam. Right here, actually, on the very top, I have the Quran. See that? Quran. Right here. Boom. See how many notes I got there? For anybody who thinks I have not read it, by the way, I grew up in Iran, therefore you have to read the Quran. By the time you get to like 6th grade, you read this thing, I don't know, 20 times just at a school because you have to. Anyhow, point is, there is a problem, and it's called Islam. There's a cancer that's called Islam. It is spreading across our country, and our very government, in so many shape and form, is enabling it. Listen, you have the diagnosis. We get, last week, I end up injuring my neck. I go to the doctor. They say you got bulging discs and your neck has shifted to the left, and okay, we have diagnosis. I could have come home, sit here and let it be until my neck breaks, or I could have go through the treatment that doctors offered me, different options. I picked the treatment and I did. Was it painful to go through the treatment? Yes, it still is. I feel like if I could, I would actually lean this way right now because my left side is heavy. The Islamization has been diagnosed by our government, the very current government. Trump administration, under Trump leadership, last time around, very openly talked about the jihadist, talked about the terrorism of Islam, talked about Islamic countries being dangerous, including people who come from Islamic countries. So there is no way we can say that, well, but Trump doesn't know, and Hexa doesn't know, and Patel wouldn't know. We stop the denial. Right there, you're denying it. You're denying it. Face the truth. They know. They know. And for whatever reason, they have chosen not to put any kind of treatment on the table yet. Not yet. Look, from the first deal Trump made as an actual president after the inauguration was a disaster. Remember the first deal with Hamas, the disaster? Now, rolling it down to today, the disaster he's facing with Iran. I don't even know. Why would you go back and try to negotiate with the same regime that you walked away from your first term saying you should never make a deal with these people? Now, if the supreme leader changed or constitution changed or penal code changed, I was like, okay, so he's renegotiating because there's a new management. There is not even a new, hey, there's not even a new curtain up. These are the times that I ask my fellow Americans to stop looking at a party line. Look at this country as one nation. I know it's hard. Listen, a lot of us, including myself, for a long time, we defended Trump, we supported Trump, we believed in Trump. But if you don't have the capability to call him and his administration out when he's doing, or his administration is doing exactly what the previous one did, and you were all up mad about, then you're in denial. And that very denial is why we are where we are. Every 4 years, one side of the country will not say anything bad about the administration. And the next 4 years, it switches sides. Or maybe sometimes with Obama's situation for 8 years. For 8 years, nobody's going to say anything of the Democrats because, well, who's Democrat? On the Republican side, a lot of people won't say anything because they don't want to be racist, right? Let's face it. Half of the country voted for Obama because they wanted to prove they're not racist. They wanted to prove to themselves they're not racist. They wanted to have the first black president. These are the issues we're facing as a nation. These are the results. This is the cost of denial. In any level, I could get into the biblical side of it. I could get into the ex-Muslim side of it. I could get into the philosophy of it. I can get into the political. No matter how you look at it, denial is a very dangerous coping mechanism. It is extremely dangerous. And I feel like 90% of this country is in denial, absolute denial. And this isn't about what priority. Yes, I understand. I genuinely had very close friends saying, listen, the topic you're covering is nobody's priority right now, so it's not going to go anywhere. That's okay. That's all right. I'll do what I do every day. I'll do it. And when everybody comes to realize this should have been their priority, then I can either be mean and say, I told you, or I can be nice and say, okay, are you now listening? We're not there yet, so I'll decide what I'm going to do when we get there. But I'm not going to go into denial. I'm not going to get distracted. 11 jihad attempts or act of jihad. Let me rephrase that. 11 act of jihad in 5 months. 29 people dead. Over 80 people literally damaged physically, emotionally, mentally for the rest of their life. And the remaining members of family and loved ones attached to it in 5 months. Nope. Trump administration is failing on protecting American citizens against Islamization. That's the conclusion with, again, at 7 p.m., all the receipt will be on my Substack. Go grab them. Or just look up for yourself. I mean, it's going to take you a day or two to gather all of it, but it's there. And on that note, I think I need a sip of my drink, and we need to hear from our sponsors. So let's take our last ad break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Is the government tracking you? Do they have access to all your data? Well, if you go to worldviewtalk.com, you'll find out about a cell phone company that, well, does not store your data. They don't do that. This is what they're known for. They don't store your data. You have privacy. You're not being tracked. That's why a lot of folks are turning to worldviewtalk.com. You'll find their prices are very competitive. All the details are there at worldviewtalk.com. Again, worldviewtalk.com. Oh, while you're there, not only do they have cell phones that aren't tracking you, you can find out about how to get a satellite phone. should the whole system go down and you want to communicate with a family member or a loved one, you might want to have a satellite phone. Or how about their solar generators? They have great solar generators. Check them all out right now. Worldviewtalk.com, worldviewtalk.com.
Last segment of Live Up to Freedom today in this beautiful Monday, June 9th. I don't know where you're at, but where I'm at, it's actually finally getting beautiful. It kind of feels summery. Okay, I only have about 14 minutes here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my promise. We're going to head over to comments, and then I close the show with, I don't know, some sort of conclusion or something. Okay. I agree with you, CJ. And not because you dropped my name. CJ says, listen to Annie. It's not about me. It's about sometimes as I'm writing these Substacks or when I come on air or do a live feed on Facebook or whatever, it's like if I had someone, okay, and I do, right? I have people who are an expert on something, not because they studied a bunch of books, but because in life they went through process of it and mastered it, right? And whatever their area is, when I need help with it, I'll pick up the phone and call them. Because logically, oh, wait, I just said the keyword. Logically, there is not much logic left. Logically, you go to an expert who became an expert through life rather than a bunch of books. Yours truly, well, you all know my backstory. Let me not bore you with that. Hiya, Stacy. It is so good to see you. I just want to say, like, your level of support for last month has been amazing. I want you to know, let me acknowledge that you're amazing, and thank you. I appreciate, and I agree with you. She says it's heartbreaking how many people still cannot connect the dot. I agree with you, Stacy. It is heartbreaking, but going back to the last sentence of the last segment, denial is powerful. It can definitely stop you from connecting dots when they're not supposed to be connected. Lauren says Bush and Cheney claiming that Islam is a religion of peace. My foot, a piece of you here and a piece of you there, perhaps. Very true. Yes, that's another thing a lot of people don't talk about. You know, this whole Islam is a religion of peace. When I talk about, yes, you have Democrats backing it up and enabling it, but well, the first president who ran to microphones to introduce Islam as a religion of peace was Bush, and if I recall correctly, he was not a Democrat. I know, he was a rhino, but I'm just saying, if you're keeping track. Thank you, Boris. I appreciate you very much. And yes, Josh, I am still having problems on the left side, but thank the Lord, it is much better. My left arm is moving, at least. Last week, it was absolutely on zero function. Boris says, command the right, forbid the wrong. Yes, it does. But let me, how much time do I have? I don't want to go over and I don't want to drop your comments here, but you know, every morning lately, which Josh, I saw your comment today. I appreciate that. I'm glad it is something for you to look forward to. It is for me too. I had to deal with a situation. Anyways, long story short, I started this new routine. Probably should have been my whole life, but anyways, where I wake up in the morning and feed the cats, and then grab my coffee. As I'm having my morning coffee, I have learned to sit down and pray. Nothing fancy, just a prayer. Just whatever it is that I feel like I didn't do good with yesterday. If it was lack of a strength, if it was lack of productivity, lack of truthfulness, whatever it was, I just say it next morning for today to be better. And then later on, I decided to actually post those prayers on my Facebook to share it with my fellow Christians who might need a prayer, who might be on the same page as I am, because I feel like under the circumstances from each side of the issues in our country, we all need that extra boost, right? And I have come to realize every single day, every single prayer has one thing in common. And that is me asking God to give me clarity to tell the truth. We are at a time in our life where I'm not going to speak on your behalf. I shouldn't do that. I am at a point where I feel like it's becoming harder and harder to tell the truth. And I don't mean telling it from myself, to tell who's telling the truth, differentiate the truth. It is so badly manipulated out there. And that's why I pray also for discernment, because that's literally the only way nowadays. It's like you just gotta go quiet and listen to that voice to know if you're hearing the truth or not. It is manipulated, it is twisted, it is shut down, it is AI generated. It's just so hard. And I feel like that's why one thing in common of every morning prayer for me is, Lord, help me tell the truth, because I don't want to lose this capability. Am I ever going to get to that point where I'm going to say radical Islam? I pray not. But again, it's hard. It's a heavy lifting when you're one of the very rare people who can still say Islam without. Yeah, I don't want to do it, and I will not do it, but there are so many names I can drop right now for you that if you go back to the original narrative, gradually it has changed to where now they say radical Islam, and they say radicalized, and they say extremist jihadist, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. When did you become that person? This is just a small sample. I can't. I don't want to. Again, it's the closing. I don't want to go too deep into that discussion. But my point is, yes, Boris, I 100% agree with you. And because I only have 6 minutes and 30 seconds, let me continue reading your comments as I promised. And yes, Boris, believe it or not, West isn't the only one in denial. The world is in denial. It is. It is. Um, okay, I'm trying to see if there's any questions. I am seeing all of your lovely comments, all of your compliments, all of your prayers, all of your kind words. Um, there you go. We have Brian, actually, Brian. I did not see that comment before I said, but Brian says the radical Islam leaders need to be recognized as cult leaders. There is no such a thing as radical Islam leaders, Brian. I know you're on Facebook, so I'm guessing you might be one of the new followers. Welcome to my Facebook, but there is no such a thing as radical Islam leaders, because it's kind of saying radical leaders, or Islam leaders. Islam is radical. There is no line, genuinely. There's no line where you go, okay, this is Islam, and then after this one line, it's radical Islam. From A to Z is radical. And I just addressed that. But yes, the leaders, the Islamic leaders of regimes, governments, muftis, supreme leaders, imams, they should all be named cult leaders, because Islam is a cult. It's just given. I did not know the exact page, Boris, on the Reliance of the Traveler, but I did know, because actually, interesting enough, I just used that reference on one of my Substacks. I want to say the Jesus of Nazareth versus Jesus of Islam is the one that I used that reference on. I might be wrong, but I did not know. I don't know the pages. There are too many pages for me to want to memorize, but I did know the references. Well, kind of the references from Reliance. Anyhow. Okay. Great to see you, Lawrence. Let me see. Anything else I need to address? The Antichrist spirit is at work, to be sure, but the Holy Spirit is greater than that. Yes, amen, Josh. See, I should have tried to use that. I'm going to steal what you just said. When I said it's hard to tell the truth, or to tell if you're hearing the truth, it's like the level, the energy of Antichrist is like, did I just whistle on the microphone? I did. Okay. Where are we at? Thank you guys on all the chats. I am trying, but I do want to conclude and do a couple of quick plugs. Remember, by the way, I'll be here Monday through Friday. On Tuesday and Thursdays, it's going to be Mission for Freedom. Me and the lovely Miriam Shaw, we will be bringing you a lot of spiritual discussion. Monday, Wednesday, Friday is just me. Possibly I might have a guest. I may not have a guest. And as always, if you have a topic, discussion, something you want to know about, you want me to cover, liveuptofreedom@gmail.com. Liveuptofreedom@gmail.com. Just shoot me an email. Say, hey, can you discuss this, or can you answer this question on your show? Whatever the case might be. You're always there. You're always amazing. You always look so great on the comment section. So keep it coming. Every day, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Lord willing, I will be here. Hopefully, I don't, do another injury. Other than that, I'll be here, and I will try to cover as much as I can on the daily basis of Islamization Sharia. And again, it's going to be streamed every day on Worldview Tube. Worldview Tube is our main channel, Ex America News on all platforms. Live Up to Freedom, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, Substack, locals, and everywhere else that I have pages that I can't recall right now. I want you to head over to my Substack, please. If you can, become a paid subscriber. There are weekly, and if you read one of them, I promise you, you will realize I'm not just putting things behind paywall to put them behind paywall. Like, these are 20, 30 pages of evidence and receipt and expose on dangers. If not, that's okay. Just become a free subscriber, so at least you get the notification. You can read the Substack, and over there you can always make suggestions as to what you want me to write about next. Last but not least, no, it's not the last one, but remember, I still do my art. LUTFstudio.com is still my art store. I just loaded some new products. Head over and purchase art, resin art, or diamond painting, or acrylic paintings, because that's literally the main way I am literally paying my bills right now. So LUTFstudio.com, LUTFstudio.com. If you have something in mind that you want me to make customized, you can write me on my art store, and I will customize it. I will communicate with you. Most likely I'll give you a call. We talk about color, size, and all that. So that's also doable. If you see something, you like the concept, you don't like the color, that's okay. We can redo it to your preferred color theme. Okay. Pray, guys. Pray for me as I try to continue the Substack journey. It's always harder for me to write it on the paper than talk about it. Pray for the country, pray for yourself, pray for the crazies in Los Angeles, California, because we can't keep doing this. I need to leave you guys. I will be back tomorrow. In the meantime, there are other great programming on Worldview Tube that you can catch up with. I will try to memorize the lineup so I can tell you who's, when, and how. Go to worldviewtube.com. I think is the website, right? I think that is the website, worldviewtube.com. Yes, got it right. Worldviewtube.com. Check out everybody's show, and I will see you all tomorrow.
You're watching Worldview Tube, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high